Hey guys, Stock Saturday, and it's pretty much green wall this week. People seem to be sort of taking the first interest rate rise in the US relatively well. They have sort of said they're pretty much nailed on for another 6 this year. So that's pretty much one at every meeting of 0.25%, which I thought would sort of be taken a little more negatively, but sort of people were maybe expecting them to tail it back given the war, but yeah, they're not. They're carrying on. But there is a little bit more sort of talks on peace talks on the war. So yeah, people maybe a little bit positive. A lot of sectors have seen sort of green. My Bitcoin miners have had a bit of green. Hive blockchain in particular. Argo not really trickling up all that much. I am sort of looking at companies like Freeport McMoran, and my Sandstorm Gold has now gone green. Yeah, maybe whether it just sort of capitalise on the sort of lag in the Argo blockchain price. They have taken on a little bit of debt. To sort of fund the Texas operation, and they've been selling a little bit of Bitcoin rather than sort of diluting shares. Sort of come into a bit of criticism on diluting. So they've opted to sort of be selling a bit of Bitcoin and sort of taking on a little bit more debt, which it's not really what you want. I think they'd probably have rathered Bitcoin's price was a little bit higher, so they could just sell it at a higher price and not have to take on debt. But there you go. But from the Twitter, looking at the videos from Texas, it seems to be coming along really well, and it's not going to be far off sort of producing new Bitcoin. So yeah, I am considering sort of adding to it, even though it is a very large position already. And the Chinese tech, Baba and Baidu, so they were sort of tanking pretty hard during the week. Of sort of thoughts of delisting, maybe the sanctions from Russia sort of spilling over to China as well, because they haven't really sort of come out and condemned the war. People suspecting them of maybe going after Taiwan as well. So yeah, that wasn't doing too well. And sort of more tech regulation, just sort of everything bundled in one. But then midweek, the Chinese government suddenly came out and said they would support the stock market. The regulation would ease, and they're in sort of reasonable talks about the sort of delisting fears with their sort of accountancy. They've got to sort of show their audited accounts for the tech companies on the US market. So yeah, that sort of bolstered the Chinese tech stocks. So some of the sort of smaller ones were going up 30-40% in a day, but obviously companies like Alibaba, a lot of people are still heavily in the red. It's $108. A lot of people are, including me, are sort of well above that, even after sort of averaging down. So yeah, not too bad overall, but some interesting news. Looking at the ISA, as I say, pretty much everything's up across the board. The ArcPi is a little less down. Overall, graph's not loading there, but fair enough. So the REITs sort of 3-4% up largely. As I say, Argo only 3% up. Hive's done a lot better, so yeah, considering whether to sort of maybe sell off some bits and put in there. I might have considered selling Sentiment, but it's not doing too well. They've declared their dividend. Maybe people sort of weren't particularly happy about that, but I haven't seen any sort of major news to cause the sell-off. Gold and silver's been a bit down, but bit of a surprise. It's only a small position now. I am sort of waiting for a slightly positive move on gold to maybe lose that. Digital Realty, yeah, as I say, most of the REITs doing pretty well. First Majestic in the green. Sylvania is sort of down slightly with the very odd platinum group metals prices at the moment. And the rest of the REITs are similarly green. And over to the invest account, has done quite well. So this is where sort of a lot of the gain has come, just over 5,000 up. This is sort of very, very broad, sort of pretty much everything up 4 or 5%. The sort of tech stocks, about 5%. Archer Daniels, sort of thinking I really should have sold some more at 87. That seems to be sort of reaching its limit at the moment. The sort of, as I say, the forward earnings are basically the same as this year's earnings, even the sort of 2023. So not sure how much more that can go up, really. But a lot of these sort of others up 2 to 5%. Bristol Myers Squibb 3%. Broadcom, sort of the more techie stuff is up the sort of 5%, and maybe more steady stocks up 3%. eBay had really good week. Doesn't seem to be any sort of real particular news on this. They do a lot of buybacks, so whether they were sort of buying back a load at the sort of £50 lows or $50 lows. They're getting into their NFT marketplace as well, which a lot of people seem to be doing at the moment. GameStop, I think, are, and sort of could be a little bit of a crowded market, but eBay, obviously, with the head start being a huge platform. FedEx slightly up. Glencore slightly down. Don't know whether this is the sort of volatile nickel price. It sort of halted trading, as I said last week, and it sort of opened for a little bit and sort of tanked down. I think it was $25,000, I think, beforehand, and it sort of spiked to 100 or so, halted trading, and it sort of opened up about 35, sort of opened up down to 35. So yeah, people seeing that as a bit of a negative, but it's 25% up on where it was a couple of weeks ago. So surprised that Glencore would come down. Obviously they are sort of largely copper, and that's come down slightly, but yeah, nothing particularly wrong with that. Himax doing really well. Again, sort of semiconductors and tech seems to be moving with that, which is pretty good. Green on that now. Intel 3%. International Paper 6%. The ETFs, emerging markets, sort of obviously going up with the Chinese and the rest of the market. Legal and General recovering as well. Bit of Russia exposure there. Lennar 7, not bad. Lockheed is a bit of a disappointment. I probably should have sold my my sort of remaining stake in the I think did get to mid 470s, I think. So yeah, kind of I was sort of staring at it thinking, do I sell? And I didn't, and the sort of the easing war talks seem to be sort of bringing that down again. So yeah, don't mind holding it really, but we'll see. Meta Platforms 15.5%. So this seems to have been a good buy, sort of in the sort of high 180s and 190s. Sort of rocketed back up now. A little bit of sort of sentiment has come back into it, and sort of tech stocks doing well. So yeah, pretty good. They do buybacks as well, so buybacks at sort of 190, 185 would have been very, very fruitful. Micron 9%. Surprised this does move with the sort of semiconductors and tech stocks, because it's sort of fairly good value, to be honest. Nintendo just up slightly, but Nintendo sort of never really dropped with the war news, to be honest. They're sort of quite detached from everything, so that's a little bit more stable. Porsche, yeah, the car makers all seem to have taken the sort of, I guess, easing war talks fairly well. Porsche or Volkswagen have had sort of quite a few issues over the last few weeks. They do have a bit of Russia exposure, and they had I've not seen the news about the boat that sank, whether they were sort of insured for those cars. I presume they would be, but need to have a read on that. Process did have a real sort of drop, as I say, with the Chinese sort of tech stocks, got to €40, and then suddenly China come out, say we're supporting it all, and it went back to sort of 50 just on the day, so that's 25%. So yeah, I was staring at that midweek, certainly wondering whether to sell some stuff and buy the dip, but I didn't. What else we got? Rio, sort of similarly to similar to nothing really. I'm not sure why that dropped quite so low. The iron ore price sort of is a little volatile at the moment, but yeah, just seems to be sort of general volatility. Samsung pretty much up with everything else. Shell, yeah, still not liking the oil price coming down. Oh, so we got Sony up 9%, pretty good with the tech stocks. Stellantis, as I did my video on yesterday, if you want to take a look, up 11.7% on the week, pretty good. Again, maybe people are realising there isn't actually a lot of Russia exposure. So that was pretty good. TSMC, 5%, sort of similar to everything else. Taylor Wimpey doing a bit better. No surprise, Tesla has done one of the best with the tech stocks. Tyson Foods, surprisingly flat for the week. Vale, I'd say, similar to Rio really, but sort of taking the hit of nickel as well. And yeah, Volkswagen sort of not quite up as much as Porsche, but yeah, doing pretty well for the week. So broadly, pretty much everything's up 5%. But we'll see where we go. I still kind of think the market was going down before the war, and the sort of reasons that it was going down are starting to happen now. The sort of money printers being turned off and interest rates rising. If we're going to get 6 rises this year from the US, Bank of England just put theirs up 0.25% as well. Could get some repercussions from this. So still wanting to sort of stay largely balanced, not sort of moving all into heavy growth and all that just yet. Nothing coming from the crypto side just yet. That'll probably be a bit later in the year now. But we'll see. So leave your thoughts in the comments below, and like and subscribe. See you soon.